gorgeous little Pearl Spotted Owlet. Now, look there, you can see those very yellow eyes, those big eyes that are designed for the dark. Now, look, there we go. He's got fake eyes on the back of his head. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous little predator. Now, that is one of the smallest owlets we get. And the barred owlet is a little bit bigger. The scops is the smallest. There we go, Pearl Spotted Owlet. We see them actually relatively often during the day. What happens is they get chased by lots of different birds, especially drongos, things like that. And it forces them out of their daytime roosts. So there we go, an incredible little bird, and with those incredible fake eyes on the back of his head, just in case you try to creep up on him. It looks like he's looking both ways. Now, they're incredibly territorial owls, and they're monogamous. They also defend their territory quite violently against other pearl spotted owlets. And their average territory is quite small, depending on where you are in this part of the world. It's about 60 to 100 hectares, so about 200 acres. They generally use old holes that might have been excavated by woodpeckers or other birds, or occasionally, less often, they'll use natural cavities from where a branch or something's fallen off. Now, of course, being such a little predatory bird, they actually have a massive competition for nesting sites with birds like starlings, barbets, hornbills, and they will align their nest with leaves to make it more comfortable for the female when she's in there. And they don't live for too long, but during their breeding activity, they'll use the same nest site for up to 4 years. If they can, if they're not kicked out by another bird species. After the chicks are fledged, for about 2 weeks they stay very, very close to their original nest sites, generally in some thick bushes, and for 2 weeks the parents will continue to feed the chicks, and even though they probably are capable of hunting for themselves by that stage. Now, they don't often sit this still for this long. Heidi says she didn't know that owls had feathers on their legs too. Well, they do, almost all of them, actually, except for the fishing owls. They are the only owl species that has featherless legs. And in South Africa, we only get one species of fishing owl, the Pearl's fishing owl. Further north in Africa, you do get rufous fishing owls as well. But normally they don't sit. Look at it. Come on, pop into the sunlight, or sun drop, so we can get that gorgeous little owl in the light. So, as we mentioned when we first spotted the owl, that they are completely monogamous. They do mate for life. And they also use the same nesting site for up to 4 years. My World, Your Music was wondering that. So yes, they are monogamous. They do mate for life. Quite a few of the owl species will mate for life. You can see doesn't want to be spotted by the resident drongos or starlings that will mob and chase him. They normally start their very exquisite call around sunset. We're not going to do the call this close to a Pearl Spotted Owlet. As I said, they're incredibly territorial, so they get quite angry when you imitate their calls close by. They think there's an invader coming. Wonderful big yellow eyes. Off he goes. Oh, he's in the light. Let's see if we can grab him. He's landed in the light up there. Oh, there we go. The drongo's found him. Oh, shame. Now he's going to get attacked. See, that's just talking about the mobbing behavior of other birds. So he's trying to get deeper into that knobthorn where the drongo can't get to him. The drongo is sitting off to the left. Let's just stay on the owl because he might take off. There we go. Here comes the drongo. He can't just get to that. Owl's in a great spot. Quite well protected. There we go. You can see the drongo. Trying to attack that Pearl Spotted Owlet, trying to move him along. Drongos really don't like other predatory birds in the areas they are. They'll attack every predator from a Pearl Spotted Owlet to a massive martial eagle. These poor little owls spend a lot of their life being chased by other birds. That's what happens when you're not very big. Let me just try to roll forward slightly. Let me see if we can get a better gap. There we go. You can hear the of the drongo. Such pretty little owls. Look at him watching that drongo head side to side. Oh, has the drongo given up? That's unusual. Oh, he's calling. Has he spotted a competitor? Are we going to see a Pearl Spotted Owlet battle? Where's he going? Where's he going? I can hear another one calling. Are we going to see a daylight owl battle? That would be absolutely fascinating. Just try. I didn't see exactly where he landed. Oh, there was an African harrier hawk, sorry, it just flew off. I didn't see where that owl landed. Pity. But what a wonderful sighting. You don't normally sit still for that long. Remember, questions at WildEarthTV or hashtag Safari Live if you want to ask us a question. And of course, if you don't believe you're live, test me, I dare you, by using either of those two platforms. So we're going to continue our search for predator. We're going to go look for Karula, who is the mother of those little cubs, and I'm hoping she's hunting through this area. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes on the road, looking for footprints of leopard. While we do that, let's go see what Jamie is up to on foot.
Herbie is going to be helping us out with the acquisition of our marula tree bark in order to figure out our test. But what I've been doing while Herbie's busy with that is I'm looking to see whether or not I can find whatever's been targeting these silver cluster leaves. And something has been targeting them. Just have a look at how they have been munched away. And it's not just in this area, it's all of the silver cluster leaf trees everywhere that have been suffering from some kind of caterpillar infestation. And it's absolutely everywhere. They've been nibbled at, all of them. And if I look here, this one is exactly the same. Nibbled at here. My suspicion is that it is a, sorry, Chandra, my suspicion is that it is a species of the same caterpillar, all targeting, because you usually get the sudden... You get all of these hatchlings coming out together of the same species of moths or butterflies, and they tend to target the same species of trees. So, for example, something like a processionary moth. Now, a processionary moth is called a processionary moth because its caterpillars all walk in a procession, so that they look like a stick or a snake on the ground. And it's such a pity that we don't see them very often here. In fact, I've never seen them because they're highly entertaining to watch, but they'll always target something like the raisin bushes of the area. So something specific in terms of caterpillars is right now at this time of year targeting our silver cluster leaves. And I personally don't think it's not a plant that I would target if I were a caterpillar. Gendre, you know all about what eating a silver cluster leaf is like. I do too. We're not going to do it on this boiling hot day because our mouths are dry enough. But suffice to say, it actually completely removes all of the saliva from your mouth, and it's awful. You end up going... So it's not very nice. But it is a host species to a lot of different things. I saw a gall earlier. So a wasp that injects... Here we go. There's a silver cluster leaf gall. That's made by a wasp that injects a growth hormone into the tree along with her egg, so that it grows around her egg and creates the perfect casing for her. Oh, there we go. Right, let's go and finish off this experiment, because at some point in the not too distant future, we're going to be heading for the safety of home. Thank you, Herbie. Herbie's made a nice little hole, not like an elephant hole, in the marula tree. And let's add it to the third and final itchy spot. And let's see what we can do. You can see, first of all, it's very, very moist, unbelievably moist. So this is what the elephants are after when they come through and they drive their tusks into the marula tree itself. They're after this cambium layer, which is the tree's way of transporting nutrients up right to the top of the tree in terms of water, and then all the way down to the bottom to the roots in terms of food storage. I'm trying to work out what's going to be the best... Ooh, tick. There's a not so... Sorry, distraction, I know. This is the animal that's been responsible for the itchiness, except the larval stage of this particular tick. I'm not hurting it in any way. I promise you, those of you who've encountered ticks before will know just what resilient little creatures they are. So I'm not hurting it, I'm just holding it nice and steady because they're also very strong. Okay, now I'm going to let it go, and it might go very, very quickly. There it goes. Oh. And now it's on Gendre. It's not quite on Gendre. Right, so now we're going to take some of... it's not so easy, actually. I'm going to tear some of these pieces of bark off. Trying to get a nice big piece. There we go. And we're going to put it on the third and final itchy point, which is here on my ankle. That's the itchy tick bite. So I'm going to rub it, and for good measure... Do I just rub it on, Herbie? Yeah. For good measure, I'm going to rub it on where I got a thorn scratch earlier. Oh, look, there's actually a thorn sticking out of the bottom of my foot too. Excuse me. I'm going to rub it where I had an itchy thorn scratch as well. It's very sticky. It's very, very sticky. Now, of all of the cures, this is the one that I have probably the most faith in, just because the marula tree does officially have antihistamine properties in it, or especially in its bark. So there we go, one more giant piece. Now I look as though I've been bleeding profusely, or perhaps I'm very bruised. Let's see which of these works the best. I might take some just in case, just because I have more faith in the marula tree bark. Right, it sounds as though Byron is still with Tingana, and since I'm going to have to clumsily get my shoes back on, let's go back over to him.
And this beautiful male leopard has put on such a wonderful show for us. And while Jamie has been trying to soothe her itches, this male has moved away from the carcass, and he's come into this beautiful jackalberry tree. A massive jackalberry, and just have a look at where he is lying. Isn't that a fantastic position for this leopard? It's not often you get leopards just going and deciding to lie in the tree and rest. They do on occasion, but this is obviously a nice big tree. Look at his legs. That is the perfect leopard pose. Legs placed across either side of the branch, tail hanging down. He's probably resting his belly off the side because it's probably full from feeding, and now he's just resting. And while he's up there, he's got a lovely vantage point to have a look around to see if there are any other animals in the area, and also there's a wonderful cool breeze which is blowing through this drainage line and through this area that we are in at the moment. So it's perfect for him up there. It's nice and cool and probably staying away from some of the flies. So just an incredible position for this leopard. And I unfortunately left my camera back at camp, and that's Murphy's Law. You leave your camera at camp, you often see some really great stuff, but it's not a problem because it's just so wonderful to also just enjoy sightings at times. It doesn't mean you always have to take photographs, but just to enjoy and appreciate these sightings, I find is just as beneficial and just as exciting as taking photos of animals in trees or whatever they may be doing. It's nice to see this big leopard up in this beautiful jackalberry tree. Now there is wonderful light at the moment, however it's just missing him. He's managed to find a bit of shade. There's some branches in front of him off to the right, and that's blocking the sun. But if you look in the leaves above him and to the left, there's a beautiful golden light coming through at the moment, and he's just in the shade, and it is a pity. If we were serious photographers, I mean it would be a bit of a disappointment, but like I said, to be able to see a leopard up in a tree like this, out in the open, beautiful view, this is a sighting that very seldom can be beaten. So just cleaning himself. Anissa, and you are 5 years old, and hello Anissa, it's so nice to have you watching Safari Live with us. Thank you very much for sending your question in. You asked what is my favorite animal. You say yours is the giant panda, and those pandas do look absolutely beautiful. I've never seen one in real life, only on documentaries. We don't get them in Africa, but I would say my favorite animal is actually an elephant. And they are wonderful animals, and fantastic to spend time with them. That, and actually a honey badger. And what I'll do is I'll just show you a picture of a honey badger quickly, Anissa, so you know what I'm talking about. Let me just find one for you quickly. There we go. Just have a look at this. That is a little honey badger. And that is my favorite animal, that little guy. Incredibly tenacious, very tough. They're not afraid of anything. But they mainly come out at night, so we don't see them very often. But they are so cute and they're so wonderful. I love them. But I haven't seen one for a very long time. They are quite rare. And then I would say the elephant. But, to be honest, sitting with this beautiful male leopard like this, it's making me think, I wonder if I shouldn't change. Because it is such a wonderful sighting to see this male up in this tree. And this is often the time of day where we do head off and try to find if we do have guests on safari, we head off and try to find a spot to stop for a sundowner and watch the sun go down, have some refreshments. But we would definitely not leave a sighting like this, because photographically this is just absolutely beautiful. Okay. It's got a massive head and neck. That is a big male leopard. It looks very hot, panting. Now that could be a number of reasons, because one is hot, and then also because of that big belly, full belly from all the meat that he's fed on, so they do pant quite a lot afterwards when they are full. See, there are still a few flies bothering this leopard. So we're going to spend some more time with this leopard and just see what he gets up to. Let's quickly head back to the bushwalk to Jamie. She's going to be heading back to camp soon.
Well, bushwalk team is on their way home, and James Dungan, I promise you I'll get back to you on which of the remedies has worked the best for my various itchy tick bite spots, and we'll see what the conclusion is. My money's on the marula tree, but who knows. Now, just quickly, we've got time for one last question. Anessa, you wanted to know what our favorite animals, and Anessa is 5 years old. It's lovely to have your question coming through, and thank you. Now, apparently, yours is a giant panda. Well, Nessa, mine, you wanted to know ours. Mine is a black rhino, I think, but it's really hard to choose. But if I had to choose one animal, it would be a rhino, and it would be the black rhino. Just because they're slightly smaller than the white rhino, and they're full of attitude, and they do a dance, and they're thoroughly entertaining. Jeandre says that his favorite animal, although I think he also found it hard to choose, is sharks. And Herbert says his favorite animal is zebra. So there you go, Nessa. You've got an answer from all of the bushwalk team. Right, until we see you again on the Sunrise Safari, it is time for us to say goodbye. The other two vehicles will be out and about, but we'll be heading back for the safety and comfort of camp. Bye-bye, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you to Jeandre, and thank you to all of you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, we found some Nyala. It's actually a nice mixed group of animals here. There's Nyala, Impala, and baboons. I'm trying to see if we can spot a baboon. Now, the Impala got to be careful, because baboons, big male baboons, are quite fond of eating. There's a baboon, little one, are quite fond of eating baby impala. Big males have been known to hunt and grab baby impala, especially when they're very newborn. I'm just going to go forward a bit. I think we might get a better view from just on the other side here. But lovely. Now, it's not that uncommon to see those three species together. And it's going to be interesting because those leopard cubs are not far from here. And I'm quite interested in whether Karula has moved purposely away from where the baboons are. As we know, baboons can pose quite a big threat to young leopards and even an adult female leopard. A big male baboon's canine is actually longer than a lion's. So I think Karula might have gone a bit further north, which is good. It's deeper into Djuma. Okay, let's get down into the riverbed. I want to see if we can get a nice view of those baboons. Look like quite a big troop, at least 30 or 40 of them. There we go. Just as I was hoping. There'd be some more out in the open. Oopsie, bouncy bounce. Where are you? I saw some baboons just down here. Are they being camera shy today? Oh, a little bit. There's a big male at the back. Don't disappear around the bush. He's going to. Oh, he's going to sit down. I'm going to try and get a little bit further forward so we can see. He might move. Okay, so far so good. Oh no, he's not hanging about. Well, he's a baboon, he likes to hang about. Oh, there's another baboon there. There's a female, and you can see her buttocks are enlarged in red, which is one of the indicator signs that she's probably about to come into estrus. There's the big boy, sitting like an old man, elbows on his knees. And you can see the size difference between a male and a female. It's like she's presenting to him, showing him that she's nearly ready for mating. He's not too interested there. Now, here we go. She's going to do a bit of grooming. Now, the baboon hierarchy is actually really interesting. Baboon social structure is run by a group of dominant male, or that's called dog baboons, and they are very violent and very aggressive, and to keep order in the rest of the troop. Now, if there's a slight injury to one of those dominant males, the next male down in the hierarchy chain will attack them brutally to try get that spot on the sort of council of power. We can hear a black cuckoo calling in the riverbed somewhere. Okay, let me just go try see if we can get around the front of him. This is quite relaxed. Often the baboons run away from the vehicles. They're quite widespread, these baboons. They spread for about 70 or 80 meters through here. They really do enjoy this, and it's at this time of the day, it's why they're coming towards this type of area. It's the River Rhine area. There's lots of big trees, and they'll probably start looking for a place to roost quite soon. And like other primates, us, they know when it gets dark, it's time to get safe, and for them, it's up in a tree. Oh, don't run away, please. We're going so nice and slowly. Oh, we got some more on this side that are out in the open. Oh, one silly baboons. They were fine while I was moving, but as soon as I stopped, they thought I had nefarious intent. Here we go, little female. Hi, James Dungan. James is wondering whether baboons have a set breeding cycle, or are they like humans? Well, not quite like humans. Only when a female's in estrus will they mate. But where humans sort of mate when they want to. What have you found there, little one? So those are sub-adults. A female probably just coming into adulthood, probably coming into her first estrus quite soon. There we go, you can see a female a bit older. She's not in estrus. Now, a female that is in estrus, we'll try to find you one, has got an incredibly bright red bulbous bottom. No cowboys yet. Now, quite often, one of the cute things you find with baboons is a baby riding. Oh, someone's getting disciplined. Oh, you can actually... There we go. Where's that one now? Making all the noise just through there. No, a little bit to the left. It's walking that way with my finger. There we go. There's the one causing a bit of trouble there. Got a bit of discipline. Not that one. It was one of the young ones, the little ones. Now, Jamie is wondering, do baboons try bite people or come into camp? Well, we're quite lucky. They don't really raid camp in this part of the world, but they do in other places. They can actually be an incredibly big problem. And as I said, they've got those massive canines, so they do pose a threat. They can pose a very big threat and a very big danger to humans. But generally that only happens when people feed them. Okay, well, looks like they're all... Oh, there's one little guy hiding behind the bush. Well... Oh, tired. It's nearly bedtime. You're probably only about 10 more minutes before bedtime. But while we sit with these baboons and see what they get up to, let's go see what Mr. Tingana is doing.
The beautiful male leopard is still up in the tree. Tingana is still enjoying it up there. Nice cool breeze. And we haven't moved. We're still going to sit here for a while. This is such a beautiful sighting. It really, really is fantastic. And we're so fortunate to be able to spend time with a big male leopard like this, so relaxed, up in the tree, giving us a beautiful, beautiful show. This really is incredible. Again with the pose, he's moved slightly, but just at that pose with the legs on either side of the barrage, keep balance, and you can see how full that belly is. Oh, let's see what he does. He's going to move. Just lift the legs up. Hang on. There we go. That's really beautiful, and I think he may have done that to try and enjoy the sunset. If you have a look off to our right, you might get a beautiful view of the sunset. Let's see if he's able to show you. How's that, Jim? Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful sunset. A wonderful silhouette of the trees. Denise, your question and your comment, now some of you might start shouting at me, and that's okay, and just my opinion though. And Denise, you say, well, you know, a lot of the other guides refer to Karula as the queen of Djuma. Would we consider Tingana to be the king? I don't know. So I don't know how I feel about calling leopards kings or queens of areas, because they are, I mean, I understand that we get to see Karula a lot, and she is a beautiful female leopard. She does move through the area, and the central part of her territory is on Djuma. Maybe we can ask Brent that question. I don't know the best way for me to answer it, or what the best way for me to answer it is, because I am, like I say, it's wonderful to see these leopards and for them to move around, and this is the dominant male leopard on the area, so if you want to refer to him as a king, then possibly. There's beautiful spots on the legs and the rosettes on the rest of the body. Very, very beautiful patterns. And apparently, and I've never touched a leopard, but apparently their coats are very, very soft. Termite mound. They have moved off, but you see that big termite mound. So the vehicle was actually parked behind there, and was quite away from the leopard. It was just from our perspective, where were viewing from, it appeared as if he was a lot closer, but he was definitely nowhere close to the leopard or underneath it. And every area is different, and every lodge is different. In these areas in the northern Sabi Sands, the trackers do stay on the vehicles, or on the front of the vehicles. Generally, when I guide, and a lot of the lodges that I take guests to, we get the trackers into the vehicles when we get into big cat sightings or predator sightings. And the only reason is it's not a safety issue at all, but occasionally you may cause the animals to react a little bit to the vehicles, because the tracker does stand out a bit on the front of the vehicle, and you don't want them to react to the vehicle in any way. And if he does move, or any quick movement may cause an animal to move away. And then also from a photographic point of view, what we prefer is, if the tracker is in the vehicle, it's easier if the animal moves around and changes positions. You can still get photographs at different angles on the vehicle. Otherwise, you might have the tracker in the picture a few times. You've got to reposition the vehicle. So all of those considered, I prefer getting the tracker into the vehicle, and I think the trackers also enjoy a bit of a break and sitting inside for a bit. So they usually join me in the front, just next to me, and then we can enjoy the sighting, and you don't have to worry too much about movement or anything like that disturbing the animals. But as I said, some lodges are different, and they've got different procedures, and some lodges keep the trackers on the vehicles. So it all varies and it all changes. But I prefer to get a tracker in. Heidi, yes, some of the big cats do indeed keep their claws exposed. Not these leopards, however, but a big cat known as the cheetah. Now, the cheetah, they do not have retractable claws like lions and leopards, so their claws are constantly out, and you will constantly see them. The reason for that is the cheetah's built for speed, and they need the traction for when they are running and moving around. So you tend to see the cheetah's claws out all the time. But generally with leopards, only when they're climbing, or if they're moving around or hunting. If they grab prey, then you'll see the claws exposed. And all they do is they contract muscles, and those retractable claws then come out, and they razor sharp. Same with lions. Sarah from Georgia, you wanted to know how old Tingana is. So he is about 10 years old now, I believe. He was born in 2006. So he's still in his prime. He's still got a few years ahead of him. And for the moment, it doesn't seem like there's really any leopards to challenge him for the territory, and that's why this male leopard has got such a big territory. It's been very successful, been able to mate with a lot of females. And for leopards, that is success. Have a large territory, mate with females, and have offspring. Just turned around very quickly then. So special that we've been able to spend so much time with this leopard. It really has been a fantastic sighting, and he's still very comfortable up in the tree. He's not too phased about moving at all. And I think again, because that cool breeze blowing on him, so he's still very, very comfortable up there. With sightings like this at times, and when I am guiding guests, you don't really have to speak too much about what's going on. It's just really nice to sit and appreciate all the bird calls around us. And I know a lot of our viewers too have been enjoying the bird calls and listening to some of the birds around. There's the red-chested cuckoo calling again, and then a lot of woodland kingfishers at the moment calling in this area. Oh, and there goes a woolly neck stork. I haven't seen those for a while. Possibly might even have a nest up there somewhere. I saw another one fly in there earlier, but that was a woolly necked stork. There's another tracker underneath, or not underneath, on the other side of the termite mound. There was another vehicle that joined us in the sighting. And usually when we are guiding guests and we're taking people on safaris, it's nice to purely comment on what's happening. Obviously we get questions about general behavior and that, but a lot of questions we get from guests are related to what the animal is doing in that specific moment, or what we tell them is usually why the animal is doing what it is doing, and just speak about the behavior that is going on in that specific moment. There's no need to really go into too much detail about gestation periods or anything like that if you've got a beautiful male leopard just lying on a or in a tree. But again, it's important to know all that information, because if you do get into conversations, especially regarding territory and mating with females, then you need to go into that. So it all depends on the questions that the guests ask us. But like, as I said, sometimes, especially guests that have been on safari a few times, they do just enjoy the sighting and enjoy taking photographs and listening to what's going on around us. Just wait, there's a vehicle that's just moving out. Just want to see which direction they go. It is nice that people do get to come out on safari and enjoy these sightings with us while we're out here. We've had a lot of visitors that do watch safari live regularly, and it's always great to meet some of the viewers, chat to them, and they get to meet the team, which is lovely. A lot of visitors that do watch safari live regularly, and it's always great to meet some of the viewers, chat to them, and they get to meet the team, which is lovely. It's quite funny being out on safari and seeing a vehicle and greet them as they drive past, and then one or two comments. So we watch you on Safari Live every day. It's quite an experience. I hope the viewers all learn a lot while they do watch us. Now, Heidi, you wanted to know about that woolly neck stork. Is it a migratory bird, or is it found here throughout the year? And the migratory, or the woolly necked stork, does generally occur in southern Africa throughout the year. But there are some pairs or some of the storks that do migrate. So it depends on the area that they're in. I think KwaZulu-Natal, you tend to see a lot more residents in that area. They're listed as near threatened, so there are not many of them left around, but you do have non-breeding migrants that move down into or further north, and then but they are generally uncommon in this area, but they do stay. They are resident within southern Africa. I think what we'll do is we'll spend another 5 minutes or so with this leopard, just see what he gets up to. I might change our position slightly, and while I do that, let's head over to Brent for an update and see what he's got.
Well, welcome back. Lovely to have you with us again. Now, we've made the call not to go back towards Hosana and Shongile. The baboons are quite close by. There's no one there. It is getting towards the end of the day, so we'll just let nature play its course in that area. Now, there's always a chance we're going to find Karula. The last place she was heading was to the north here, so I'm just going to slowly check along the edge of the Mawati. Maybe she pops up. I'm pretty sure she would have heard those baboons and moved away from that area. So hopefully some luck with the king and queen, or maybe we'll have some lion luck as it gets darker and cooler. Maybe the lions that were around this morning go for a drink. So those of you who keep an eye on the Djuma dam cam, let me know if the lions pop up there. I would be most appreciative. Now, even though someone switched off the heater, the sun went down, it is still quite warm. I'm guessing it's probably still around 30 degrees C. What's that, Fahrenheit? 780 something. So it's still quite warm, but compared to what it was an hour ago, it's blissful. Now, Sean, who's in South Africa, says he can hear cicadas in the background. Could I show you one? Well, that's quite difficult, Sean. You can just, if I keep quiet, you're going to hear that for a second, that high-pitched. That's a cicada. I'll try at night. During the day, it's quite difficult to find them, but I'll try it with the spotlight a little later. Hopefully we have some luck. And they do like these. Actually, maybe let's try for fun. They do like these peltiforums, these weeping wattles. Now, normally when you get close to them, they keep quiet. These guys sound like they're quite high. Wow. It's almost deafening under here. The lower ones have gone quiet and they've got amazing camouflage. Let's go deeper in, see if I can find a low one. So they keep quiet when you get close to them. This is incredible, I can't see a thing. I've got one more trick up my sleeve. Let us try this. Ooh, that one sounded quite close. Maybe I can spook one. It's so amazing that they're literally calling all around me and I can't see a thing. Okay. Let's see if I get up to cicada height. No, their camouflage is still working very well. That's a pity. I was sure I'd be able to spot one from up here. They seem to be even higher now. Now, how do we get down? No, I'm only joking, this is not a particularly high tree. I just can't believe it. I mean, they sound like they're right on top of me, but I still can't hear them. Let's hope I'm a little bit more graceful than Hasana's been over the last little while. Now they're all going quiet. I should give Hasana tree descent lessons. But sometimes at night it's a bit easier. Now, one of the worst things about cicadas, and you get a lot of different species of cicadas, and you get some very big ones. And in the Mopani woodland, further north, they literally take over. There's just thousands upon thousands of them. And when you're driving long distance, especially, or even the Myombo woodland, right, the worst was when I was driving long distance in Botswana through the bush between Maun, which is the town, and the safari camps, which were about 250 kilometers away, but it used to take about 9.5 hours because of the thick sand. You're in second gear low range for most of the time, and you'll be driving, no aircon on those old Land Cruisers we had over there. Off you go, and one or two cicadas would manage to get through your window and under your seat, and you had this incessant scream inside this car, and you'd have to stop, and it'd take you 10-15 minutes to find the offending cicada screaming away somewhere under your seat or behind your seat, or somehow got into your toolbox. It just amazes me the places they can get. Bree says, while I was climbing the tree in search of cicadas, you could almost hear a change in the cicada's voice, going, "No, Brent, don't find us." Well, I didn't, so whatever they did worked. You could definitely hear a pick up and drop off in the sound as I got closer to them. Now, this is where I was hoping Krula might make an appearance, and there's a very strong possibility she might even get all the way towards the Voyatilla Dam on her hunt, so keep a squiz out there as well for the Queen of Djuma. Now, there is a lot of water to drink around, with all the little mud wallows having water in it, so they're quite spoilt for choice about where to stop for a drink. Lindsay is wondering, what is the strangest animal I've ever woken up to in my garden or at home? Oh, that's a... Well, I've had lots of them. We've had lion, leopard, hippo, elephant, buffalo, rhino, wild dog, cheetah. But I think the strangest one would have to be a water chevrotain. Now, well, I suppose it was my house. It was my tent with a little roof over it that I lived in the rainforest. And outside was a water chevrotain. Now, do you guys do yourself a favor? I don't have a picture of one. It's not something we find around here too often. It's basically somewhere across between a pig and a duiker. It's not an antelope and it's not a pig. It's somewhere in between. It's its own family. So I think if I remember correctly the spelling, it's water and then Chev, C-H-E-V, R-O-T-A-I-N, water chevrotain, and they are endemic up to, or they live in the Congo Basin rainforest, and they've got canines, like big canine teeth, and they hunt insects, millipedes, birds, as well as eating fruit, leaves, and things like that. And we had a couple that used to hang around our camp in Gabon, and they became very, very relaxed. So, I mean, they would literally, you could pass within half a meter of them. And strangely enough, so, I mean, it's a pig, duiker, leopard, basically. There's this weird combination. So their social structure and mating structure is almost identical to a solitary large carnivore, a cat. So it has a male who will have 3 or 4 females within a territory that he'll defend and fight vigorously and fight to the death, and they make some very weird noises as well. The water chevrotain, that's probably the weirdest thing, but it wasn't really my garden. I suppose it was Luongo National Park, but I mean literally half a meter from the entrance to my tent. In the garden, I'm trying to think now. I had a crocodile in the garden. It's quite a strange one. In Zambia. I know. The strangest thing I've found in my garden was my best friend's after New Year's Eve party. They were looked very strange, passed out in the grass, but no, that's not it. I'm just trying to think. I've had so many different things. We've had mambas, we've had spitting cobras. I've had spitting cobras under my bed, I've had spitting cobras in my bed, and bush babies in the roof. So one of the joys of living out in the bush, you do get to have some strange neighbors from time to time. I'll try to remember some other weird ones. Hyenas are a normal, common one, trying to steal the rubbish bins. Flamingo in Botswana, a very lost flamingo outside our house on the Tamalakani River in Maun in town. They do breed in the Makgadikgadi salt pans, but there was one lost flamingo. I'm trying to think, I mean, really strange things. Well, that camp in Gabon, while we weren't there, our camera trap found chimpanzees inspecting our camp while we were at a fly camp, which was quite interesting, watching that camera trap footage. We never had a gorilla in camp though. They came close once or twice, but we didn't ever have them in camp. And of course, lots of weird bugs and hohos and frogs and things over the years. Now, not so much here, but in the Natal Midlands, where it's quite wet. And I think most people call them Wellingtons, those big plastic boots for when it's wet and you're out on the farm. We used to call them gum boots. Not sure why, but that's what we call them. And one of the worst and biggest frights you get is when you're not really thinking and it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you're going out fishing or you're going to do something on the farm, going to fix roads, and you pull your gumboot on and there's a big red-backed toad at the bottom. You do tend to squeal. Whoa, what's that? And it's cold and it's slimy. But anyway, that's never a pleasant one. Out here we got to be more careful about scorpions in our boots. Always check them in the morning. And it sounds like, here we go, you've posted, so people have found pictures of the water chevrotain, posted it online. Thanks very much. How cool is that? What a weird looking little creature. So that tall hind leg sloping down towards a lower body. They're also excellent swimmers. They live mostly around the edge of marshes and stuff in the Congo Basin rainforests. and they become very, very relaxed around you. And I mean, we had a female and a baby that basically were in our camp nearly every day. But yeah, so I've been lucky. I don't consider that bad luck to have strange things in your garden or in your bed. It's good luck. Nothing's ever bitten me yet, and it's touch wood. Hopefully they never do. But while we go and see what's happening around quarantine, let's go get an update and see what Byron's up to.
So we left in Tingana. He was still up in the tree. Our signal was a little bit difficult in that area, and but he seemed like he was very comfortable and resting up there. So we thought we'd just come and have a look around the area where we thought those lions headed off to. I'm not sure if Jamie and Herbert had any luck. I don't think so this afternoon. But we just wanted to see if we were lucky, and maybe they stuck their heads out and started moving around. Maybe we hear them calling. We know they were very vocal yesterday and this morning. So that's what we've come to have a look for. Pretty soon we'll get the spotlight out. It's not quite dark enough just yet. It's actually very light this afternoon. I think further we get into summer, sorry, I was just getting an update from Jamie. She said it looks like those lions may have headed towards the drainage line near Gallagher shortcut. Maybe they came out there somewhere. But as I was saying, moving further into summer now, it's going to get darker a lot later in the evening. And up here in the Lowveld, or in this northeastern part of South Africa where we are, I think sunset it's gone down already, but it may be closer to about 7 o'clock or so in the middle of summer. However, down in the Cape, so the southwestern part of South Africa, down in Cape Town, there the sun in summer will set quite late, 9 o'clock, 9:30 I think. VM, is that right? Somewhere around there, I think. So much, much later. But we don't have daylight saving time in South Africa, which is great because it doesn't confuse anybody. And I think it would confuse far too many people if we had to change anything. There's some Impala up ahead. Let's see if there's a little lamb perhaps. Is there one there? Oh, there is. Okay, great. Let's see if we can get a view quickly. There's a few here. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on. How's that, VM? I don't want to move too much further forward. Look at that. Oh, wonderful. 2 little lambs. Oh, that is really, really wonderful. There's another 1 or 2. And there's one off to the right a little. There we go. Oh, that one looks like it's just been born. See the female still cleaning it? And look at those bandy legs, still very uneasy on its legs. I'm trying to see if I can see any other sign that I can tell if it's just been born. Looks like that female is I don't see any blood on her rump. Sometimes you can see a little bit of blood around, but she's cleaning that lamb, and that lamb's gone straight to suckle. So I think that was born very, very recently, everyone. Let's see if it's able to keep up. Oh, sorry, something flew into my eye. The joy of having insects around this time of year. Oh, that is very, very cute. Wonderful. It's amazing how quickly these little lambs are able to get up and move around within minutes after birth. So that is really, really lovely. I'm not going to spend too much time here. I think there's Impala all going to head out towards some clearings for the evening, especially with these little lambs. They want to look after them, and it's easier to keep an eye out for any potential predators when they are out in the clearings. And I see they've all made a beeline to this little area around here. They might just end up spending the evening on this area off to my left. Excuse me. I think they know exactly where the safety is and where the clearings are. Just put these lights off for these little ones. Jay, we do not have any springbuck in Djuma. They occur in different parts of South Africa. Oh, look at these little lambs. Just off to the side. Now, Jay, they occur generally in semi-arid or desert areas. They prefer drier conditions. That's generally the habitat that the springbuck prefer. So we do not get them in this Kruger area at all, in this northeastern part of South Africa. No springbuck here. They generally down the southeastern part of South Africa, central and southeastern part South Africa, and then up to the northwest, up in the desert and dry areas up there. You get a lot of springbuck around there too. But not here at all. Got the spotlight. I might see if we can start using it. Let's see if we find anything. It's kind of that awkward time of the evening where it's not quite dark enough for a spotlight and not quite light enough for us to see properly. But you never know. We could still find something. Still continuing the search for a chameleon. We haven't seen too many chameleons yet this season. And I wonder why. We have had rain, but perhaps not enough. And it has been a bit cooler. So, Carmani, you want to know with those impalas that we just saw, will the females look after all the young? Will they share the suckling with the young, or will they only look after their own young? They will only look after their own young. Each female will look after their own little lamb, and that lamb will stay close to that female for just for, I'd say, a few weeks or a few months, perhaps, and then that lamb will very soon start feeding on vegetation, just follow the herd around. And I mean, you've seen how quickly they grow, especially those yearlings that we've seen. Some of the young males already, you can see the little horns from last year. So they do grow very, very quickly. I really have a feeling we're going to find a chameleon in this area. I don't know why, I just do. Let's see what else we can find. Haven't seen a scorpion for some time. Well, actually on the bushwalk, I think Jamie had one this morning. I had one yesterday, so yeah, on the walks, yes, but not at night. See if we can try to find an active one at night, perhaps. Is that it? No, that's a leaf. Occasionally, if a leaf looks slightly lighter green, then it does look like it may be a chameleon. They've got a different shade of green to them, but they're still very difficult to spot, obviously. There's a beautiful cool breeze now. Finally the temperature's cooled down. It's been a very, very warm day today. Problem with shining the spotlight and driving, trying to answer questions, is I sometimes take my eyes off the road, which is not ideal. Every now and then I get a slap to the face by a bush. Just to wake up, I suppose. Still nothing. Oh dear. But not to worry, I think we're gonna still have some luck. It's always too soon to panic, like I always like to say. Sorry, some Impala. Good evening, everyone. So I'm not going to shine on them, just shine around the trees. Jay, you want to know what is the one thing I hate about living in the wild? I don't think there's anything I hate, Jay, to be honest. I think with being out in the bush regularly, fortunately I do still I live in Johannesburg, so I'm back there a lot more than I am out in the bush. But living out in the bush, and when I did live out here permanently, I think one thing I missed, I'd say, rather than hated, was perhaps family and friends. You know, you have a lot of friends back home, and you tend to miss out on events, and funnily enough, I think the thing I missed the most, to be honest, was playing rugby. I used to play a lot of rugby. When I moved to the bush, I couldn't anymore because I was working permanently, and I missed sport. I missed playing sport. But now, with being back in Johannesburg, I've been able to go back to my old rugby club and still play a bit of rugby, believe it or not. I suppose I'm not too old just yet, even though the body takes a lot longer to recover. But I would say that was one of the things I missed. Yeah, definitely, I missed that so much. So it's nice to be able to play some sport again. But fortunately, I do still get out to the bush a lot. Alright, we're going to continue our search on little nocturnal animals. While we do that, let's head back to Brent for an update and see what he's got.
Hello. Now, apparently you would like to know what I hate about living in the bush. I don't hate anything about living in the bush. I love living in the bush. There's a couple of things one does miss from time to time, and I think it'd probably sushi. What about you, Chad? Chad says ladies. He says there's not enough ladies living in the bush. That is true. Quite often in remote areas it tends to be in general, not always, but a male-dominated environment. But yeah, I'd say sushi is definitely one thing that's quite nice, and always catching up with friends you haven't seen in a long time. But I'm one of those strange people. Even when I go on holiday, I normally go to the bush, and my family lives in the bush, so sort of bush focused out here. And I was hoping that those lions might have popped out, but there's just Impala. I'm going to just turn the lights off. Final Control says, don't I hate mosquitoes and ticks? No, I don't even hate mosquitoes and ticks. I get irritated by them, sure. But they are just as important as lions and leopards in the whole ecosystem. And they have a very important role to play in controlling of animal populations and providing food for oxpeckers and mosquitoes, providing food for lots of geckos, spiders, skinks, lizards, frogs. So no, I don't really hate. I get irritated by, but I don't really hate anything out here. I hate exotics. Don't like exotics. So when I mean exotics, that would be sort of invasive plant species or animal species that shouldn't be in an area. Don't like those. I hate those. Past the impalas. I wonder where those lions disappeared to. We're in that sort of weird half-light where the spotlight actually doesn't really help, and I got a better chance of spotting with my eyes. And living out here at Djuma is very comfortable in comparison to some of the other places I've lived. I mean, Hoedspruit's only an hour and a half away. And where I lived in Tanzania, the closest town was 4.5 hours on really bad roads, up hills, through mountains, and then it was more of a village than a town. And in Gabon, it was a 2.5 hour boat trip across some sometimes very big seas to get to an even smaller village. That village probably only had about 30 people living in it. One little shebeen, not sure what a shebeen is, it's like a sort of informal bar that very seldom had beer, mostly had some of the most foul smelling palm wine you've ever come across in your life. But I mean, the joy of living in the bush and makes those little hardships endurable. I mean, getting to see things like gorillas and forest elephants and lions and leopards and baboons and impala babies, all those type of things for me nullify anything, and I can't really say I hate anything about living in the bush. Maybe Final Control. No, only joking, Final Control. Okay, so there we go. That's a great one from Gert. I hate not being in the bush. That's a great one. Wendy, don't I hate hairy caterpillars? Oh, Wendy, it came close that day when my skin was on fire. But then again, when they're not crawling on my body and I find them on the dashboard, I get really excited because they are really beautiful and incredible little creatures. The way they're structured, their defensive mechanisms, from birds and from me sitting on them and and all sorts of stuff. So no, I don't hate them, although it came close that day when I couldn't touch anything. I just basically had to sit in the middle of the floor with my arms out, because every time I touched even skin on skin, it just started itching and welting again. We're very, very lucky to live in the bush. Very privileged. There's very few people who are able to live the life that we do. Now, of course, some of it's luck, but you must remember, a lot of us have done the hard yards to get here. And as you say, there's a lot of things that aren't easy, but there's so much stuff that's so wonderful that makes those things that aren't easy. So lack of normal amenities or restaurants and things like that, it's a minor thing when you get to spend your afternoon with leopards and lions and elephants and bird watching or bugging or frogging. Far better than going for a fancy meal, in my opinion. And I think, not myself, I mean, I'm quite lucky. I'm an old hand. I grew up at it. But I would probably say, I think the thing a lot of people find most difficult about living in the bush for long periods of time is the fact that you often bunch together with the same people day in and day out. And as in all situations, that even your best friend can irritate you on a bad day. But I think that's probably what most people find the most difficult about living in the bush. It's the fact that the social circle is quite small, and your workmate is your friend after work, but you can have a tiff during work, but you've got to leave it at the door the moment work ends. And sometimes that can take people a little time to adapt to. Well, hello Ariel and Moz, who are brand new viewers. Welcome to Safari Live. And there's a chill of a woodlands kingfisher to welcome you. And let's hope he does it again while I'm talking. Oh, one sec. Oh, excuse me. That was a big sneeze. And Ariel and Moz would like to know, what is final control? Final control is where the evil ladies shout at us in the ear. No, I'm only joking. Final control is where the directors sit, and you must remember that sometimes they have multiple screens up there. Today they would have had 3, so they're watching what I'm doing on one screen, they're watching what Byron's doing on another screen, they're watching what Jamie's doing, and they're making the show flow. So they will say, okay, we've been with the Leopards, Byron's got Tingana, he's going up a tree, let's link to him. So they control where the camera, or what you're seeing, where it's going to go, and they do an absolutely fantastic job. I was only joking, we don't hate them, although I did accidentally put a scorpion in Geraldine's bed. No, again, I'm only joking. And, well, we are coming towards the end of the Sunset Safari. It's been absolutely splendid having you with us, and look forward to doing it all again in a few short hours on the Sunrise Safari. But let's go across to Byron for the final minute of the drive.
So we haven't had any luck just yet, but it was a wonderful day. I hope you've all enjoyed it just as much as we did. I mean, we had a lot of activity. Leopards around, and no lions this morning. Unfortunately, no lions this afternoon, but that's the way it goes sometimes. If they don't want to be seen, you're not going to see them. I'm scanning these trees very carefully just to see if I don't miss anything. The other night we did have a beautiful genet, and it was great to see a large spotted genet. Some waterbuck and impala all in the clearings there now. Sorry, I don't want to shine on any of these impala. There's a lot of impala out in the clearings at the moment. I'll try to keep the light off of them for a while. But a big thank you to all our viewers again. You know, we really appreciate all your questions and your comments. It's lovely to hear from you, and hopefully, as I said, hopefully you enjoyed the afternoon safari with us, or sunset safari with us. And thank you very much to the voices in my head, or rather the ladies in control, or final control, Terry and Rebecca. And thanks to Brent and Jamie and the cameraman, Jean-Ray, and Viam with me. Thanks very much, Viam, and Gert on the other vehicle. We'll see you all tomorrow morning. Good night and goodbye, everyone.